Salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be doing a recommendation video for books that have the surprise pregnancy trope. If you didn't know, I'm doing a little mini series on my channel where I'm going to be posting back-to-back videos every single day where I give you very specific book recommendations based on tropes. Men's books honestly have so many tropes. You have friends to lovers, surprise pregnancy, love triangles, but today we're going to be focusing on surprise pregnancy. I really wanted to do a video on this because this is actually my least favorite trope. I know, why am I doing a video on it if it's my least favorite? But the books that I'm going to be talking about, I rated all 5 stars and I absolutely loved, even though they had my least favorite trope. I feel like these books were just like the cream of the crop. They handled the trope so very well. And I know some of you like this trope as well. So I want to give you guys all the recommendations. Leave a playlist of the videos that I filmed so far down below. This is the first video that I'm pre-filming, but I don't think it's the first video I'm going to post. So I'll leave a playlist of the videos that I posted so far. The reason I typically don't like surprise pregnancy tropes is usually there's a lot of deceit involved with that. It really frustrates me when they don't communicate and they don't talk about like what they're going to do with the child, and they're just very emotional, because in this situation it's not just the couple that we're reading about and rooting for. Like, now we brought this child into the story. We have to kind of fold that in as well. So that's usually why I don't like the surprise pregnancy trope. I think that me saying these books have the surprise pregnancy trope is a spoiler. All 3 of these books actually have it either in the first chapter or in the synopsis itself, so it's not a spoiler. What I want to talk about, I have raved about on my channel. It is Destiny Surrender by Beverly Jenkins. You guys know Beverly Jenkins is my girl. I have given almost every single one of her books 5 stars. I cannot rave about her enough. If you're new to historical romance, she is like my go-to author that I would recommend. In total, this series has 3 books. It follows the Yates brothers and all of their respective love stories. You don't have to read the books in order. I didn't. I read them out of order, like way out of order. I think I read the 2nd book and then the 3rd book, and then I went back to the 1st book. If you want to read them in order, I gave all of them 5 stars, so have at it. But for this video, we're going to be talking about Destiny Surrender, and it follows Billy and Drew's story. The heroine in this book, her name is Billy, and she's actually a prostitute. She is a lady of the night, if you will, and that is how she meets our hero, Andrew. She is his mistress for quite a long time, and they kind of form a relationship. They have a lot of respect for each other, and obviously they're insanely attracted to each other in the beginning, and that is how they meet, and that is how Billy gets pregnant. Because of her occupation and just the situation that she was in, she definitely never planned to get pregnant, nor does she expect anything from our hero, Drew. Hero is Spanish, and he comes from a pretty wealthy family, so it is kind of expected for him to marry up and marry in a higher class. So she never tells him about her being pregnant, and she decides to kind of like take on the situation by herself. The child. She decides to care for the child by herself. I don't know why I said the situation. Year passes and Billy and her son is actually threatened, so she has to tell Andrew for her son's protection. Characters have an insane amount of chemistry in this book. Hero is pretty stubborn. He's definitely an alpha male, and they have kind of an enemies to lovers situation going on because he's not happy that she's pregnant and she's not happy that she got pregnant, and they have to not only figure out how they're going to be in a relationship together, because previously they had really only hooked up. Now they also have to figure out how they're going to be parents together, and it's really fun to kind of see them on their journey. I think if you like strong heroines, you will love this book, because Billy is just that type of heroine that you can't help but root for and love. She's strong, she's opinionated, she's independent, she doesn't let anyone just bulldoze over her. One is a 5 out of 5 stars, like obvious recommend. The next book is a shorter book. It is Heartless by Daniel Allen. This book, our main character, his nickname is Easy, and he is just like this very, like his name suggests, he's very easygoing, laid back, chill, a little bit of a notorious player. Not a player in the sense that he's like breaking hearts and stealing girlfriends. More so, he is just not interested in a serious relationship, and everyone he hooks up with knows that. He ends up meeting Jamila at a wedding, and she is instantly turned off by his playboy attitude and is just not falling for all of his traditional lines, which of course interest him even more. So they end up hooking up at the wedding. They meet up years later and they hook up again, and she gets pregnant. The book starts off is that Easy ends up getting a late night text message, and he thinks it's a little bit of a booty call, but it's actually an unknown number telling him that he got a girl pregnant, and he has to figure out who he got pregnant and then also take responsibility for the situation. Jamila is very similar to Billy in the book I previously mentioned. She's very independent, she's very very strong. Really loved their dynamic and how they were willing to work with each other and make sacrifices with each other because they weren't in a relationship previously. So again, they had to figure out how to operate in a relationship but also operate being parents. I really like this book. I actually wish it was a little bit longer because I would have loved to see like them interact with the kid. Like I just thought that would have been really sweet. But I still love this book. It was a 5 out of 5 stars. Oh, and it was steamy. I'm telling you, Danielle Allen, like she is such an amazing author. My another favorite thing about this book was the banter between our characters. They were just so funny and they really kind of like went back and forth with this very witty, sarcastic banter, and I found myself laughing and swooning the entire book. Last recommendation is A Dark and Stormy Night by Kerrigan Byrne. This is the 7th book in the Victorian Rebel series and the first book in the Good Girls series. I think they intertwine. I'm not sure. Again, with historical romances, you don't really need to read books in order. I feel like it's fun to see how all the characters mingle together in the stories, but really you can definitely read this as a standalone. I read this book way before I read the other books. Follows our hero, Sir Carlton Morley, who you see in a lot of the Victorian Rebel series. He is the chief inspector for Scotland Yard series. There's like little hints of his personality, but like his book was perfect. I loved his book so much. With Kerrigan Byrne, her books are always a little bit of like a darker romance. Definitely check any trigger warnings on Goodreads if you need that. He also ends up becoming somewhat of a vigilante. He's very tired of like the slow process of the justice system. He feels like a lot of people, especially noblemen, are not brought to justice. So he ends up becoming a vigilante, which you will see throughout the series, but really in this book. During this book, there are some men who are disappearing. A lot of them are escorts. So he ends up trying to investigate that whole situation, and that is how he meets our heroine. Our heroine is like the definition of a good girl. She always does what she's told. She always listens, but she decides that she's kind of tired of being like this prim and proper English lady, and she decides that she's going to treat herself, hire an escort, and have some fun times. You know what, this book, you know, the premise of this book reminds me a lot of Suddenly You by Lisa Kleypas. This book is really similar, where our heroine hires an escort and mistakes our hero for an escort, and it follows their romance. So I would recommend that book too. Character Prudence ends up mistaking our hero for an escort, and they end up hooking up and having one very steamy night together, and in result of that, she gets pregnant. I really liked this book because she immediately tells him that she's pregnant. Like a lot of surprise pregnancy tropes, the girls tend to like withhold the information or not tell the guy or like run away, which is fine. I mean, everyone handles situations differently, but I really like when the girls are just like upfront about it. Like, here's the situation, here's what happened. Of course, because this is a historical romance, her reputation is essentially ruined if she gets pregnant out of wedlock. They have to figure out how they're going to form a relationship and be together. I loved this book. Kerrigan Byrne is just so good at writing historicals. She makes you feel for the characters in a way that I just have never seen in any other historical romance. So I honestly would recommend this book. I loved the audiobook. I love the cover of this book. They're no longer printing the cover that I'm showing on the screen, and I want it. It's the only book that I'm missing from Kerrigan Byrne. So if you guys have this cover, or if you know where to get this cover, let a girl know, because I'm hunting it down and I really want it. Right, those are my 3 recommendations. I hope this video was a little bit quicker because I only talked about 3 books. I hope you guys found a book that interests you. And if you have read any surprise pregnancy tropes that you like, please let me know. I would love to read them. Let me know what trope you guys would like me to do next. And as always, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. You guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I'll see you next time. Bye!